Hey guys, Zen here, and today I want to talk about some brand new details that we've learned from the Moroccan season of Rainbow Six Siege. Now, the next big DLC for the game is just a few short weeks away, but until then, there's some things we definitely need to discuss. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, we're gonna go really in depth with this stuff, so let's get right into it. And so first, I wanted to show you guys this. It's a teaser for the brand new map coming to Rainbow Six Siege for the Moroccan season, and Rainbow tweeted this out with the caption, "Welcome to Morocco." Now, as far as the map, that's all we really know right now, but the official name for the next season has been revealed, and it is called Operation Wind Bastion. And I know some of you may believe that this is just another operation name and really think nothing else, but a bastion actually has to do with a fortification. As you guys know, in Siege, we're always building and fortifying up our objectives, and so maybe this element ties into this map very specifically. If we go back to the first teaser of the map, it's clear that there's wind flowing throughout the image, and it's also possible that it has a direct impact on gameplay. Back with Operation Grim Sky, the first teaser that we got, there was rain, and then we learned that rain is a big aesthetic of the new Hereford base map. I'm thinking Ubisoft takes this concept a step further and makes wind an actual gameplay element of the new map. From what we see, it looks very open and there's a ton of light bleeding through, so it's possible that wind affects this map differently than any other weather conditions have in this game. For instance, maybe the closer you are to the outside of the map, the louder the wind gets, making it harder for you to actually hear what's going on around you. Now, I doubt it'd have any sort of effect on projectiles or bullets, but it is possible that if you throw grenades around this wind that it veers them off the path of flight and maybe doesn't go where you planned. Again, I highly doubt that that's what's coming, but if Ubisoft wanted to add those kinds of gameplay layers to the maps, it would be very interesting to say the least, and a big change from what we know right now. But I want to know what you guys think of this image, and of course, if there's anything I missed, let me know it all down below. Next up is the massive censorship controversy that has stirred up recently. For those of you guys who don't know, Ubisoft announced that they'll be pretty substantially toning down the blood and more graphic aesthetic of the game to comply with the policies in China, and they've given us some examples of exactly what's changing. First, it starts off with the in-game icons. As you can see, we'll be going from knife to fist with melee kills. Instead of a skull for death, it'll be changed to a target dummy icon and a friendly fire icon with a similar look. We also see the changes they'll be making to some of the maps. With Clubhouse, they'll be changing the skull artwork on the wall to one of a figure in sunglasses. They'll also be completely removing the slot machines in the bar area and actually leaving it bare, not replacing it with anything. They're simply taking them out. And then we get an example on Skyscraper where they'll be removing the blood spatter on the walls throughout the map. These changes, mixed with some of the reasons why Ubisoft is going in this direction, have caused many in this community to be very upset, and understandingly so. This is a huge change and one that has a lot of questions built around it. But luckily, you guys have Zen, and as the name would imply, let's take that approach and look a little closer. Now, it's unfortunate, but the vast majority of the community is blaming China for these changes. Ubisoft mentions that these changes are happening so that they can reach a larger player base by extending Siege into Asian territories. Now, that's great, and of course, the more people playing and enjoying this game, the better, but the problem here is that they've also said that they'll be streamlining the whole experience and making one global version of the game. So, games like World of Warcraft and Dota 2 have completely separate versions of their games in those Western countries, and Ubisoft doesn't want to do that with Siege. They want one singular game across the globe. Now, some of you may not know this, but China has some of the strictest video game laws in the world, and for publishers to sell their games in China, they have to abide by those laws. So, forbidden in China are gambling-related content or game features, anything that threatens the Chinese nation, anything that promotes or incites obscenity, drug use, violence, or gambling, and the most interesting of the bunch, anything that violates China's policy on religion by promoting cults or superstitions. Now, that last rule is challenging because religion and superstitions are subjective, and I'm sure throughout China, there are many different beliefs. So, for example, in places like Mexico, they celebrate death and skulls with holidays like Los Muertos or the Day of the Dead, but in places like China, this kind of symbolism is forbidden. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the removal of skulls from Siege in particular, even going as far as to say that Caveira's name is at risk because it directly translates to skull. So I did some research and found some facts that you guys should know about the Chinese culture and skulls. So, skeletons are not censored in all Chinese games or considered taboo in Chinese culture. There is no public law that bans the use of skeletons, blood, or anything else like that in video games. But China's laws about game censorship are broad and could be interpreted in a variety of ways. And finally, censored games like World of Warcraft and Dota 2 are more so because of the game's publishers who want to avoid any delay in bringing them to market. market. Which beautifully brings us to our next subject on this topic, which are the two major publishing companies for video games in China, NetEase and Tencent. These two giants have the biggest hands in bringing new video games from all around the world into China. For instance, Bungie, the creators of Halo and Destiny, are partnering with NetEase to bring a new franchise over to that region. And this is where I think a lot of those restrictions are coming from. It's these publishers that don't want to chance any problem with the Chinese government over these issues, so it's part of their policies to filter this stuff out of video games. Now, Blizzard works with NetEase to bring World of Warcraft to Asia, and a similar setup could be happening with Ubisoft as well. Now, they haven't announced that kind of partnership, but realistically speaking, they're doing all of these things well in advance so that in the future, it isn't a problem to get their games over there. But what I think the most important thing to note here is the fact that Ubisoft says they will not change the core of the game. They go on to say, "We have a commitment to ensure that the Rainbow Six Siege experience remains true to its roots. We are adjusting art and visuals, but are not compromising what makes Rainbow Six Siege the game you know today." So for me, the biggest feature that I don't ever want to see done away with is the blood splatter that happens after you shoot someone. It is a distinct and extremely unique feature of this game that also does have a major gameplay element. When I see that bloodshed on the wall, or even the trail of blood that an operator leaves after you down them, it usually leads me to where an enemy is, or at the very least lets me know that a gunfight took place around that area. So as far as I'm concerned, this is something as important as hit markers in Call of Duty, and no matter where Rainbow is headed, I think this should always be a standout feature. And as of now, Ubisoft has no plans of doing away with it. So beyond that, I trust them when they say that this change won't impact gameplay, and of course gameplay is king. But I suppose that leads us to my thoughts on the matter, so let's do it. Like most people have said, bringing Rainbow to more regions is only a good thing, and it's awesome to see so many new players get excited when the game comes to their country. And even though these changes may be taking a bit of the grit out of the experience, this change doesn't affect my personal reasons for getting on and playing this game every day. What I log in for are those super tactical experiences that are exclusive to this game as of now, and I know this won't affect that. But I also don't ever want to get to a point where the realism of the game is so watered down and compromised to the point that the game starts to lose its soul and what makes it a realistic anti-terror kind of experience. But I feel like for every opinion, you should supply a solution, so I wanted to reference Black Ops 4. In the latest game, you're given the option to turn the gore on or off from the start. You even have the ability to turn strong language on or off. Why can't that be an option here? Even if you still have to take all of those things out for the Chinese market, why not simply add a switch for those of us who'd still like to have it on? You still have the current game and all of its assets, so I don't see how this couldn't be an option, especially if other games are already doing it. If you really think about it, Siege is already a little censored. In a game like Black Ops, when explosions go off, your character's limbs literally fly off. Sometimes you'll even be decapitated. But in Siege, if you, say, die to a frag grenade, your operator will just die, maybe even just be downed. But again, in that real life situation, your body would end up a lot worse than depicted in game. So that's my take on this news. As of the Moroccan season, Rainbow will be losing a little bit of its edge. Now, a ton of you were asking for my thoughts on this, so naturally, I want to hear yours. Let me know your stance on the aesthetic changes coming to Rainbow Six Siege down below. Next up, I wanted to quickly tell you guys about a new feature here on YouTube. So some of you guys may have noticed a new join button that is now live on the channel. Essentially, what this allows you to do is to sign up to further support the channel, and you'll get access to some pretty cool perks. Not only will you get a special badge next to your name anytime you comment on a video or chat in a live stream, but I've set up a couple of things for the most committed to the channel. This is completely optional, but it's there for those of you who want to opt in to some special bonuses each month. However, for those of you who do join the channel and remain a member for a whole 2 years, that's like an eternity on the internet, but if you do, you'll get access to the rare and highly coveted Gold LZS Badge of Honor. Handcrafted and designed by Zen, this is only for the most dedicated and committed of you here on the channel. The loyal Zen squad runs deep, but trust me when I tell you, if I ever see this badge on anything I publish, your name will be engraved into the deepest depths of my being, and you will be treated as royalty throughout this community. If you want it, there's a link in the bio. But that's enough shilling for one day. I'm getting kind of thirsty, so let's get on with it. Now, I've been playing a ton recently, and so I figured I'd do you guys a favor of letting you know about this week's challenges, because we've got some special ones this time. First up, the Narodo Challenge. It's Poland's National Independence Day, so celebrate by winning 5 rounds with either Ella or Sofia and be awarded the Polish Trinket Charm. I absolutely adore the Polish sisters, so this one is automatic for me, but it also gives some of you guys some quality time with Ella, which is something I'm willing to bet bet a lot of you have been neglecting recently. Next, there's the Ella Birthday Challenge, where you'll need to destroy 20 attacker drones and you'll unlock Ella's dog tags. And finally, the new Poppy Day Challenge. Honor the falling by winning one match in a full 5-man team and you'll get the decorated Poppy charm. Now, for those of you who don't have a full team of friends, I recommend you solo queue, find a solid team to play with, and then simply ask to keep playing as team after the match, and of course mention the challenge. That's usually how I get these things done, so hopefully that helps you guys out. But that's everything, guys. A massive video packed with a ton of info and of course some perspective from Zen. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of the censorship coming to Rainbow Six Siege? And when do you think the Moroccan season will actually be released? Let me know everything in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. With that being said, it's been Zen. Hey, I'm out.